Charlie Kirk drops a red pill on Ana Kasparian during a live DNC interview. Yes, guys, it's not a joke. Charlie Kirk was chatting it up with the TYT, the Young Turks, during the DNC. I know, it's hard to believe, but it did happen, and it was actually pretty interesting. I enjoyed it, and I know you guys will too. So we're gonna get right into it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But first, everybody, do me a huge favor, like our video, share it around, and if you're new, subscribe to the Resist the Mainstream YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you guys this great content. And for those of you who have subscribed and came back, thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate you. As always, guys, this is the Resist the Mainstream YouTube channel, and I'm your host, Darian.
Time. JD Vance's record is very clear, and I don't want to get too down in this rabbit hole, but to understand what he said about the childless cat women was that he was saying that when you have children, that your society is better governed when your leaders are having children when they're not. Otherwise, when they're not having children. I think you guys could agree with that, right?
No. I don't think that's true at all.
So,
can
I just ask the hypothetical?
Hold on. Let me
50 childless people and 50 people with families. Mm-hmm. Which group of people would make better decisions for the country the next 100 years?
I think that it is totally wrong to assume that
you don't think that having children makes any bearing on your politics.
No. I don't.
I think you don't think it does something to you where you think about the next generation? And
I think about the next generation all the time, and I don't have children.
Okay, that's fine.
I think about
I'm just saying, it is kind of funny that the lady who has no children is saying, obviously having children doesn't change you. I mean, okay.
Educating our kids. I'm worried about the fact that so many children in America are illiterate and cannot read. I think about the future of this country all day, every day, right? I don't think having children is the end all be all of whether or not you care about the future of this country. I love this country.
I want you to be able to have kids. I don't want to make this about you, Ana, because I have a lot of respect for you. But I could tell you as someone who has had kids and has not had kids, it does profoundly, deeply change. Yeah. And it changes your politics. It changes everything. And that's what JD Vance was saying, is that when a society starts having children, it starts to throw off the wiring of the multi-generational framing of how public policy decisions can be made. We're not going to agree on that, but I think it's rather common sense that when a society ceases to have children, the society ceases to exist.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that. And I want to ask you about Tim Walz in a second. But I want to let our linear audience know, if you're watching on Samsung, Roku, all those places, we're going to continue. We're going to have speeches. We're going to have more interviews. TYT.com. So now the show is embedded on the homepage of TYT.com, so you can keep watching there all day, every day. Okay, so now, Charlie.
Yes.
So number one, look, everybody has a different experience. So I have kids, and I have the same exact way of thinking about things before the kids and after the kids.
So that's so interesting. Having kids didn't change your politics at all?
Not 1%.
Or your worldview?
Not 1%. No.
I can vouch for that.
Having kids didn't change you?
No. I mean, I love my kids more than you could possibly imagine.
So you didn't learn something about humanity or how to pass values down or?
Yeah. No, I've been thinking about that all along.
That's incredible. I'm not doubting it, but your why didn't change? Why you fight so hard?
Yeah, no, it didn't at all. Yeah. Because I kind of view, this is really corny, but I view the audience and the voters and the average American as family.
Yeah.
And so exactly. I was already looking out for them.
So if this is a gruesome hypothetical, but if a shooter came in, and would you defend your kids first or a stranger's kids, or are they the same?
So, first of all, that's not going to change your opinion on healthcare. It's not going to change your opinion on
obviously
immigration.
Defend your kids first, right?
But of course you're going to defend your kids.
No, but that's the point, is that, so you have an attachment to your kids, so that has changed you.
So of course you have an attachment to your own kids, of course.
Well, that's
of course I attack them first.
You, right?
No, but it doesn't change my view on the world, on humanity, on politics, on policy.
I guess,
but if there's a shooting, of course I'm going to cover my kids first. I get it. But by the way, in the Israel scenario, but I wouldn't say, bomb other people's kids to protect mine.
No, I don't believe that. But my politics is all about protecting my kids.
So, okay,
that's the difference.
Hold on.
And actually, that goes to
you're about protecting
everyone, right? And so, but that goes to the core, Charlie. And that's why this is such an interesting conversation between conservatives and progressives, because progressive ideology is help someone you don't know.
Including non-American citizens?
Generally speaking, I want to help the whole world, but of course you take care of, you've got these circles that you got your family, nation, etc. But my point is, you guys circle the wagons, and we think about everybody in a way that's empathetic.
But this is the problem.
The problem with this progressive ideology that Cenk is espousing is that you can't help the whole world. It just isn't reality, no matter how much you may want it to be. Just look at the United States right now. We have so many illegal immigrants coming in, and we can't even take care of the homeless people on our streets, some of whom are even veterans, and they don't get any health care, they don't get housing. It's incredible. At the end of the day, you have to take care of your own before you can help the world, and that's indisputable. If you ever read 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, he has that famous line and lesson: clean your room. What does that mean? Well, at a very fundamental level, if you think the world's gone to shit, great. You can think that, but get your own shit straight first. Otherwise, you got no room to talk. And it really is that simple. And the problem with the left is they can't even figure out the basics. Look at San Francisco. You have homeless people all over the streets, defecating, shooting up drugs, living in squalor. It's absolutely disgusting. It's just gross. Meanwhile, you have a bunch of leftists whining about the climate and doing protests saying we need to fix the climate or something, and climate change is such a problem. And I'm sitting here thinking, there's literally trash all over the street of San Francisco, and you're doing a protest about how we need top-down government policy in order to fix the environment. Can we start with your own backyard first? I think that's a very reasonable question to pose.
Abstractions like that is how we end up invading Iraq and forget that our veterans are starving, because we worry more about foreign adventures than the immediate. And so,
but that was for the military industrial complex and the oil companies. But that wasn't for us or our kids.
Look at Lindsey Graham, people like that have like very weird personal lives. They tend to not care as much about the immediate. They care much more about the foreign and the abstract. But I'm curious though, that you don't think that family formation necessarily creates better politics.
Charlie, I want to ask you something. Right. So it's what you believe, right?
No, sorry, I don't mean to talk.
No, it's okay. Put that aside for a second. What you personally believe, put that aside, and think about optics and political strategy. Do you at least concede that politically speaking, when it comes to optics, it is not advantageous to accuse childless people in America of not caring about the future of the country because they don't have kids? Well, like, that is an incredibly... People find that offensive,
but,
right?
I mean, it's also a very pro-family sentiment too, saying
I love family.
No, I'm glad.
That's also an accusation, right? Like the idea that if you don't have your own kids, you don't care about family. Like,
well, I'm not saying that. What you're asking me, is it smart politics? What he said was a couple of years ago, before he was the VP, and I think that's important because, first of all, it's even before he was a Senate candidate. But even if he said it today, I would defend the essence of what he was saying, which is that when you have a group of people that are not attached, their public policy decisions are not immediately impacting the things that they cherish the most, and it's much more distant and much more detached and much more foreign, then public policy feels much more like playing Risk than actually managing your home. And I think that's a big mistake. Conservatism at its best is trying to say, forget the abstractions. What's happening in the neighborhood? What's happening at church? What's happening with the family? But yeah, look, I share J.D. Vance's view on this.
Well, guys, we're going to have to cut it off there. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll share a quick parting thought. Why is this even a topic of discussion in the first place? Honestly, I find that to be a little bit aggravating. At the end of the day, as Charlie pointed out, this was something J.D. Vance talked about before he even ran for the Senate. He wasn't even a politician or running for office. Yet, the Democrats are trying to make this an issue of the election. If Republicans were smart, in my opinion, and I'm not talking about Charlie in this instance, but just in general, they'd flip the script completely and say, you're going to sit here and get upset at us because we push pro-family values? You guys are the people who literally say it's okay to chemically castrate children or just simply terminate them out of existence right before birth and even right after birth, as some leftists have argued and voted for, including, by the way, Kamala Harris. That is what the script should be about, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe off color, and I don't even think it was that joke that J.D. Vance said or made a few years back. With that being said, guys, we really hope you enjoyed the video. As always, be sure to comment below, guys. Tell us what you liked, what kind of content you want to see next, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thank you so much, and God bless.